On July 30th, 2025, BTSRM quietly shared a passage from a Korean book on his Instagram story. No caption, no explanation, just underlined text from a passage in the book called 단한번의삶, One and Only Life, which is the latest essay collection by celebrated novelist Kim Young-ha. Okay, and as always with RM, it wasn't just a casual post, at least from my perspective, it was rather a signal. The quote read, first in Korean, let me briefly read in Korean. 궁금하지 않았을까? 많이 궁금했을 것이다. 그렇지만 쓰는 게 좋고 작가가 되지 않아도 어쩔 수 없다고 생각했으니 계속 썼을 테고 쓰다 보니 작가도 되었을 것이다. 그들도 지금은 나처럼 언제 작가가 될 거라고 생각하셨나요? 라는 질문을 받고 있을 것이다. 사공 없는 나룻배가 기슭에 닿듯 살다 보면 도달하게 되는 어딘가. 그게 미래였다. 그리고 그것은 아무것도 하지 않아도 저절로 온다. 먼 미래에 도달하면 모두가 하는 일이 있다. 결말에 맞춰 과거의 서사를 다시 쓰는 것이다. And let me translate that in English. Weren't you curious? You must have been. Still, they probably kept writing, thinking they had no choice, even if they never became good writers. And by continuing to write, they eventually became writers. They're probably getting asked the same question I get now. When did you think you would become a writer? Like a rudderless wooden boat drifting with the current, you eventually arrive somewhere. That's what the future was, and it's something that comes quietly, even if you don't do anything. When you reach that distant future, there's one thing everyone ends up doing. They rewrite the preface of the past to match the ending. Now, if you look at the underlined text, this is what the sentences that RM underlined. Like a rudderless wooden boat drifting with the current, you eventually arrive somewhere. That's what the future was. So that was first part, and the last sentence he underlined. They rewrite the preface of the past to match the ending. Now, the passage is from the book, like I said, called 단한번의삶, One and Only Life, by Korean author Kim Young-ha. And the quote was from the chapter 사공이 없는 나룻배가 닿는 곳, where the rudderless ferry arrives. And it reflects on the way people become who they are, not through certainty, but through persistence, and how the meaning of the past changes depending on how one story concludes. And the book was published in April 2025, and it marks Kim Young-ha's return to nonfiction after 6 years. The essays were originally serialized in a subscriber-only email newsletter titled 영하의 날씨, which is a play on his name, 영하's weather. And 영하 also could mean like sub-zero temperature in Korean. And they were later revised and compiled into this cohesive volume. And this is the book I'm assuming RM has been currently reading. Now, Kim Young-ha has been known for works like 살인자의 기억법, The Plotters, and 여행의 이유, The Reason for Travel. And he's widely regarded as one of Korea's most thoughtful contemporary voices. But this particular book that he wrote, One and Only Life, departs from his past essays in one key way, and that is, it's more personal. Like here, Kim Young-ha sheds the persona of writer and speaks simply as a person given a single life, and examining, family, memory, failure, love, and the passage of time with quiet honesty. Now, RM's recent Instagram story post from this book, 단한번의삶, wasn't the first time that he highlighted Kim Young-ha's writing. Because he previously shared passages from his past works, like The Reason for Travel, 여행의 이유, twice in 2022. Okay, so on October 22nd, 2022, RM shared this quote. The reason readers have long-loved novels, films, and travel essays that follow a plot of pursuit is likely because they tend to view their own lives through that same structure. In life, too, we're given external goals, getting into college, meeting a good partner, and starting a family, owning a nice house, raising children, and sending them to top universities. But in reality, almost no one achieves all of these external goals. Humans always hope for more than their abilities can guarantee, yet still find a degree of satisfaction even in results that fall short. In the end, no matter the outcome, we are beings who always learn something. Now, this excerpt reflected on how people impose external goals on themselves, like college, marriage, home ownership, children's success, and so on, and how rarely these goals are all fulfilled. Yet, we still find meaning in the pursuit itself. And it's like a meditation on learning, on like failure, and the resilience of simply trying, And, RM shared this during a time when BTS was entering a new chapter, 2022, which likely made the message resonate more deeply. Then, the next month, on November 5th, 2022, RM posted another passage from the same book, The Reason for Travel. And this one is from the chapter called The Journey of Nobody. It reads, as Sylvian Tasson once said, if travel is a kind of plunder, then it is the act of leaving in search of something missing from daily life. If it were something we could easily get nearby, why would we go so far to find it? On our travels, we inevitably encounter moments where we become nobodies. Perhaps travel is, in some way, a journey to become a nobody. As I get older, there are more and more moments when the identities imposed on me by society begin to feel like a kind of prison. Travel, then, has become less about finding out who I am and more about forgetting who I am, if only for a little while. Now, this reflection touches on the idea of travel as a form of self-erasure, so to say. And as RM was experiencing the transition, and by extension BTS too, and as they were experiencing the transition into like solo work and mandatory military service on the horizon at the time, the idea of shedding identity or societal expectations must have felt very real, I'm assuming. And the quote actually offers a moment of philosophical retreat. Sometimes we travel not to find who we are, but to forget who we are told to be. So across these posts, from The Reason for Travel, 여행의 이유 in 2022 to 단한번의삶, One and Only Life in 2025, RM has returned to Kim Young-ha's words to express something private but shared. The tension between ambition and reality, or between identity and freedom. And these aren't just random, literary shout-outs, I feel like. They are rather like, diary entries in underlined form, especially because they were shared by RM. Now, what makes RM's connection to this particular writer especially meaningful is their shared public history. So, the two men appeared together in 2022 as co-panelists on the TVN program, the Korean TV show 알쓸인잡, which is translated as the Dictionary of Useless Human Knowledge, where experts from different fields gather to talk about like life, history, and human behavior. And their intellectual chemistry on the show stood out. A lot of people enjoyed it. And, Kim Young-ha, the author, brought in literary and philosophical and historical perspectives. RM often responded with unexpected interpretations, like sometimes poetic, sometimes playful, and sometimes thoughtful. And a lot of viewers were impressed by RM's, thinking style and speaking style. And they said it was a rare instance of a K-pop idol, stepping fully into the world of intellectual discourse and being recognized not as a guest but as a peer. Also, Kim Young-ha, for his part, has also acknowledged RM in interviews. He once remarked how impressed he was by the depth of RM's reading list and the way he connects literature with life and music. And so there's mutual respect there. One is a writer who has spent his life exploring the boundaries of self and society through words, and the other, a musician who uses language to bridge art, identity, and emotion across cultures. In fact, Kim Young-ah even made an observation about RM's personal library, noting, where is it? Right you go. So, the author, this is from the Weaver's magazine, titled RM의 비빌 언덕, RM's Hills to Lean On, published on January 9th, 2023, which explored the foundations of RM's emotional and creative life. And in the middle, it said, let's see, upon seeing RM's bookshelf, author Kim Young-ah even noted, these aren't books you commonly see in someone's bookshelf. A quick list of books RM's recently mentioned shows just how wide a range of reading material he enjoys, including Depth of the Landscape, Mitsubachi to Enrai, End of the Summer, All About Saul Later, The Midnight Library, and Doing Good Better. To get an idea of just how much books mean to him, look no further than what he wrote on the card that accompanied his book donation. There's no way to understand things so easily and so deeply as with books. In a smartphone world where you can find anything at the tap of a screen, he reads books to better understand and really dig deep into the world of authors, different knowledge systems, or varying viewpoints from across the globe. RM, for example, recently revealed that he drinks whiskey while reading up on the drink at the same time. The very oldest pastime and means of study, reading feels like a perfect fit for someone whose preferred method of learning can be likened to the way a fan combs over every little detail. And it also says, as seen in part one of All Day, the video, he spends most of his time reading, and he stalks one area of his living room with books he can pull out at any time. And yes, indeed. So here's a screenshot from the video RM All Day with Kim Namjoon Part 1. His living room filled with books. And that got me read this Weaver's magazine article again. And the term 비빌 언덕, here is translated as Bibili Hills. But it can be translated as a hill to lean on. And it's one where the RM uses to describe the things that bring him comfort. It's the phrase that he uses to describe the things that bring him comfort, clarity, and emotional grounding, especially during times of uncertainty or stress. And the article examines these hills in detail, showing how Namjoon has built a rich inner world by immersing himself in art, in literature, in nature, and thoughtful living. The article also highlights RM's intense love of reading. Like I said, his bookshelf includes poetry, philosophy, history, psychology, and art theory. Books not typically found in the average celebrity's home, as noted by Kim Young-ah. Okay. So that's what the author noted, probably after visiting RM's home, remarked on how uncommon and serious his collection was. And RM reads everywhere while getting makeup done, eating meals, or even relaxing with his members. And for him, books are not simply entertainment. They are a method for learning deeply and understanding life. His habit of researching topics like whiskey by reading extensively illustrates how he turns curiosity into knowledge through reading. And the article also noted how RM also finds joy and connection in popular culture. He watches Korean dramas in real time, follows reality competition shows, and is a devoted fan of creators like the 피식대학 YouTube channel, where he was also featured as a guest at the Pisik show, right? Which was hilarious. I think that was the best episode from the series. And also he's a huge fan of director Park Chan-wook. And his love for the film 헤어질 결심, Decision to Leave, which is a film by Park Chan-wook, was so strong that he memorized the script. There you go. And He even eventually met the screenwriter on 알쓸인잡, the show that I talked about, where he shyly revealed he was a huge fan. And lastly, the article looks at how RM's respect for people, especially artists and thinkers he admires, shapes his own path. So here, let me read the full passage. RM said he went on Dictionary of Useless Human Knowledge, 알쓸인잡, because he has a strong passion for learning and a desire to learn from those who are wise. He's long expressed his respect for Tableau and is on the record as saying his dream of doing hip-hop came to him after hearing Fly by Epic High. He's also referred to Nas and Eminem as his childhood heroes again and again. As an artist himself, RM studies the lives of other artists through books and through their work, suggesting he learns from the lives of those who have come before him and struggle with the same questions, and in this way finds inspiration for his creative process, but also for his direction in life. I wouldn't dare say I'm as skilled as them, he said, but I believe I'm on my own frequency and that I could keep myself from feeling bad even if my album came out on the same day as Eminem's. When a fan wrote about wanting to break out of the habit of comparing themselves to others, RM responded, that's an instinct. You only have to worry about keeping yourself standing straight. Whenever you think you see the sky, there's always more. As with his hobbies, RM finds a way to look back on himself through other people. He talked about people with experts in other fields when he was on the show, Dictionary of Useless Human Knowledge too. It's all part of how RM's built up the Pibili Hills he stands on today. So there you go. So overall, this Weverse magazine article portrays RM as someone who has carefully built an inner ecosystem of inspiration, so to say. And art, literature, nature, and people, these are not like accessories to his fame, but essential structures that help him understand who he is and how he wants to live. And through them, I believe that RM has created his own steady ground, his own hills to lean on, and hence Pibili Hills. So there you go. What do you think? What is your own hill to lean on when things get overwhelming? And has a book ever changed how you see your past or your future? And what do you think RM was feeling when he shared this particular quote? Let me know what you think by writing your comments. And when you do so, let's stay positive, respectful, and classy. Thank you guys. Peace and love. Bye-bye.